Liberal feminism is one of the most shallow forms of feminism that exists, and quite frankly, it is not going to get us anywhere. Let's talk about it. So essentially, liberal feminism is concerned with allowing women equal access to male-dominated structures, rather than completely reforming the structures themselves. So liberal feminists ask questions like, do women have equal access to these structures? Can they enter it the same way men can? Are women being treated equally within these structures? And can women choose the same way men can choose? And don't get me wrong, these are essential and very important questions as long as we live in the structure where nothing has really changed. I'm not denying that it is very important for women to be granted equal access. But what liberal feminists are failing to do is to ask, why are these structures so inherently imbalanced in terms of power? Why are these structures so inherently violent and dominating? Why are these structures so male-defined in the first place? And why is the success of a woman measured by her proximity to a structure that males have designed? So while liberal feminism would celebrate things like women becoming CEOs or women also becoming soldiers because it puts them in an equal position to men, a radical feminist would respond with the fact that equality within an oppressive system is not something that we should be aiming for. Equality within oppression is not liberation. And if the patriarchy remains intact when we women are participating in it, then we're not really changing anything. We're reproducing patriarchy rather than completely dismantling it. And exactly the same thing can be said about choice feminism. So choice feminism is essentially the belief that something is inherently feminist just because a woman chose it. So if a woman has chosen to be a stay-at-home housewife, that decision in itself is inherently feminist, specifically because a woman got to choose it. But it doesn't look at the fact that there are a lot of social and institutional constraints that go into making these choices in the first place. Like, women are not making choices in a vacuum, and we need to critically examine and unpack what leads to women making these choices. And oftentimes, what feels the most rewarding to certain women is specifically and precisely what the patriarchy wants them to think is rewarding and satisfying. Not all choices are made freely. Not all choices advance women as a class in their entirety. And in fact, some choices reinforce the subordination of women. Prostitution and other forms of sex work, for example, are framed by liberal feminists and choice feminists as empowering, when, in fact, there's a lot of societal constraints and a lack of resources and other forms of oppression that go into the decision of women to enter sex work. In the majority of cases, sex work would not be something that women would choose freely if there were other options that were available to them to feed themselves. We cannot dismantle a system or liberate ourselves from a system while actively, ignorantly, and blissfully using the tools that these systems were built with. And it is not equality or liberation or feminist to want to participate in the structures that were not designed for us, and were in fact designed to exploit us.